Well, I'm enjoying you too, Jerome. Welcome to the clan. I'm glad we got to hang. You're a good Negro.
Huh?
On September 27, 2009, literally 2 weeks after the series finale of King of the Hill, the character Cleveland Brown moved out of Rhode Island, leaving the Family Guy characters behind, leading to the creation of his own spin-off show, The Cleveland Show.
What the hell? He's getting his own show?
Look at the aspect ratio change. Go on, I see you, Nintendo. In November of the same year, 7 episodes into their 8th season, Family Guy introduced Jerome, played by Kevin Michael Richardson.
BBC? Oh boy.
I guess they just realized, oh shit, we don't have a black character anymore, and they just invented a replacement.
If you really break it down, what we need is a black guy.
Yeah, that was the best thing about Cleveland.
Jerome was originally conceived to be the 4th member of the friend group with the guys, while Cleveland was in Virginia doing God knows what. But even after his first episode, they didn't really apply themselves in trying to place him in that role. There are several episodes after this, even in the same year, where Peter, Joe, and Quagmire all hang out together, and Jerome is not shown as the 4th. And by season 12, the Cleveland show ended, the Browns moved back across the street, his stepkids have not said a single word in over a decade, and honestly, Cleveland being back was kind of just the nail in the coffin for whatever the hell they thought they was about to do with Jerome. So, in a spiritual successor to what I feel like is one of my best videos ever, go watch that shit, I got bills coming up. I want to take a look at how Jerome was written throughout the years, to see what exactly we know about him, how is he used throughout the show, why could he not fundamentally fill the space that he was originally created to fill, and more interestingly, how his creation is indicative of the shift in the way that the show is written today, in comparison to the earlier years. Get ready for 8 more verses. That line only works if you've seen the episodes. This is when Jerome was the new black. Blah, 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 title change in case the video flops, yada, yada, yada.
Let's eat! Hey! Complain, complain, complain.
What?
Snarky comment indicative of how you think your audience will react.
Huh. These shit's getting lazy.
This ain't televised, they telling lies, but promise I won't. We been patronized, they taking lives, I'm on my way home. Relax my mind about half the time I'm watching cartoons for knocks, how I'm locked in my room. Of course they resemble my skin when I watch too. Hypnotizing, tannic, how I frolic through the vibes. Okay, dreaming mama's proud as if she looks through Penny's eyes. I'm a man of the house like Oscar. We deceive, I believe, need Oscar. James Earl when I speak, I'm a Fossa. Gotta swerve in the streets, never block us. I go, feel more, just try to make you feel more. Through the halls I felt scorns. Looking at me cause I don't like what you like, you feel torn. Should've smacked you like slick back, you ain't seen pimpin' before. For the stars I shoot pimpin', no boy, you best set the score.
Hey, you know what they say? See abroad to get that booty, yak 'em.
Leg her down and smack 'em, yak 'em.
Cold got to be.
Shit.
The 133rd episode of Family Guy is titled Jerome is the New Black. It's the one with the long Quagmire speech that everybody who hasn't seen Family Guy in 15 years loves to share on Twitter. Airing 2 months after the first episode of the Cleveland show, the episode follows the guys and how much they miss Cleveland.
Look!
It's him! Hey, Cleveland!
Why didn't you tell us you were back, buddy?
Peter, Joe, and Quagmire look to replace their black best friend about 4 years before Homer, Lenny, and Carl would do the exact same thing. The student has become the master like shit.
Just say he's black, Mo.
You say he's black.
Did I hear some sorry-ass fools in need of a mother-loving 4th? I'll join your darts game.
How do we know you're any good?
All of the guys seemingly immediately take a liking to Jerome, but that halts for Peter after he brings him to the crib.
Oh, sorry I was out of it. Wait, are we being robbed?
Peter finds out that Lois and Jerome used to date, and honestly, Lois don't make the shit no better.
What, you dating that guy? It's just a lot to take in.
Oh, yeah? You're telling me?
Oh, come on, those kinds of jokes aren't helping.
You're being silly. Jerome and I dated over 12 inches ago.
What did I just say?
The rest of the episode is Peter dealing with the insecurity and jealousy he feels towards Jerome. If I'm being totally honest, I'm not the biggest fan of the introduction of a new black character. It's just kind of boiled down to being like a springboard for a bunch of jokes about how old Whitey is so terrified that his wife had a little bit of that BBC. But I mean, just as like an episode of Family Guy, I always just kind of thought it was cool. I mean, there's always gonna be funny gags, right? And him saving Lois from choking is so over the fucking top that you honestly can't help but laugh.
Oh no, her clothes are constricting, as are mine.
Good job purposefully not laughing after I said you can't help but laugh. Do not worry, I see that stick up your ass. I do think though that the idea that Jerome's introduction is deeply based in his identity as not only a black man, but a specific parody of a specific kind of black man is really telling for the direction that the show was going at this point. You think about Cleveland and his character early on. He was calm, slow talking, southern, probably says Merlin instead of Maryland, that type of shit. And I feel like while they'd occasionally do jokes about black culture through him, that wasn't his purpose. Cleveland, especially early on, operated as a character first. He has feelings, he has arcs, he has growth. In the 5th episode of season 4, his wife sleeps with his best friend, and the passive nature that they've given him causes him to turn the other cheek, until the Griffins feel like that's just too much of an unhealthy reaction for this specific situation. He doesn't even have it in him to get mad until they bring it out of him. This Popeye shit is the strongest emotion that we get out of him at this point in the show. I just gotta halt it right here, bro. Fuck this nigga Quagmire. I will always hate this stupid ass fucking speech. Bro duff Loretta by this point. He's sitting on top of the toilet while Lois pissing. You freaky fuck. Shut up. Who else but Quagmire gonna catch these fucking hands, my nigga? 2 episodes later in Brian the Bachelor, man, this season was continuity heavy. Peter tries to get Cleveland back on the saddle, so he brings him to audition for the new season of The Bachelor. Brian gets picked instead, so Peter just gives him cornrows to cheer him up.
Oh, that ain't bad.
Further continuing the phenomena of white cartoon characters braiding black hair. If these episodes came out today, one of these characters probably would have said slay or something, and I would have had to turn that bullshit off. 3 years later in Love Blackshly, we meet a selfish Cleveland who steals a white woman from Brian with no remorse after Stewie tells Brian to wait before he has sex with her.
Oh, you're crazy, bitch. I didn't say that, bitch.
Cleveland is still himself in this episode, and they make sure to establish that he didn't know Brian was even going out with the girl beforehand. So there's no malice, which would totally go against who he is. Yet it's clear that the development is Cleveland standing firmly in his choices and going after what he wants.
We're gonna elope in Hawaii tomorrow night.
What?
You got a problem with that, you can go fuck yourself. We good, Brian. We good.
I really hope he's walking away to confront her about trying to fuck a dog for like 3 weeks. Brian and Stewie go to Loretta and try to get her back with Cleveland to break up Cleveland and his new shorty. She pushes back but shows up later on because she feels bad for cheating on him and she wants him back.
Oh, Cleveland.
Respectfully, but
It's here where Cleveland gives this honestly really touching speech about love and forgiveness, giving his arc a sense of closure that was so rare in adult animation at the time.
I can't take you back. What you and I had was a wonderful thing. And as much as I still have a great deal of love for you, our time is over. I love somebody else.
Isn't there anything I can do to make you happy?
You can live your life, Loretta. Live it as full and as wonderful as you can. I love you.
His girl fucks Quagmire after this, by the way.
Oh my God! Curling?
Cleveland, close the window. You're letting the stank out.
And finally, 2 years later is the Cleveland show where he moves, gets married, and starts a whole new family. Oh, and Loretta dies in season 1 after Cleveland's running joke results in some real world implications, and the entire cast laughs at her breast. Nice, great use of one of your sister show's only black women.
Awesome. Good. Love that I'm looking at that.
But notice how when I described Cleveland's entire arc, I didn't bring up his race once. And it's because they built the character first. Now, not saying that the fact that his race isn't tied to a story is what makes Cleveland a better character. Cleveland's whole thing could be his black identity for all I care, and he could still be a fine character. But my point is that I can describe his emotions, his feelings. We know exactly what would affect them, how it would, and why it would. And that's just from 3 episodes. We can't do something like that with Jerome. Not in his first appearance and not today. Jerome isn't emotionless, but those little emotions take a back seat so he can talk about Black Jesus. Cleveland's voice, his personality, that's him. Jerome, for better or for worse, was invented to be a very black man in a very satirical cartoon. At a time in said cartoon's run where the comedy was really shifting, jokes about race were becoming more and more common, and humor over story really started to take priority. So because of this, they invented a black character that could speak to their desire to tell a certain kind of black joke. To parody Shaft, the Mac, Superfly, the 70s black man with the cool voice, cool persona, this nigga spelled out show enough and darts. The idea or joke behind Jerome was clearly invented before his personality was. And I think it's because of that aspect in itself why he couldn't function as a fourth member of the group. It's because he's not an actual character. Family Guy becomes a semi-different cartoon every 3 to 5 years. The early dad jokey style was done at this point. You know, because joke characters like Consuela were invented just 3 years before this episode. Jerome is used for jokes parodying blaxploitation films. He's used for jokes about how funny they think black names are. He's used to expose the racism in characters like Joe, the policeman. See, good Negro clip from the top of the video. Fuck, they make Patty Warburton say that shit for. But you'll see through the rest of this video them trying to pick up the pieces and at least attempt to give Jerome a little more. For better or for worse, like shit.
We cool, Peter, we cool. But listen, there is something I gotta fess up to. While I was living with y'all, I had myself lots of nasty ass sex with Meg.
2 years later, Meg would turn 18.
What?
Real quick, today's video is actually brought to you by Morgan & Morgan. Submitting a claim for an injury doesn't have to be a stuffy process. With Morgan & Morgan, there's no need for you to visit law offices and sit through long consultations. You can submit a claim and have a lawyer review your case with only 8 clicks on your phone. Morgan & Morgan has modernized the injury law process by making it so easy to submit a claim. You can submit your case details, sign contracts, upload documents and medical records all from your cell phone. And you can even text your attorney and legal team throughout the duration of your case. Contacting a personal injury lawyer should be your first step in a car accident. It's a no-brainer and it costs nothing. Well, unless you win. You literally have nothing to lose. And a firm like Morgan & Morgan can quickly determine the fate of your case. Don't overthink it. Take action to protect your rights and Morgan & Morgan will fight to get you the compensation that you deserve. Oh wait, I love this. This is the part in the read where my mid-roll instrumental kicks in. Hold on. This ain't no SVU. You can start your claim with Morgan & Morgan by using my special link in the description or by dialing pound 529.
All the greatest moments of my life I spent right here in this booth. Maggie's first word, Bart jumping that canyon, Mr. Plow, all the greatest moments of my life.
The 207th episode of Family Guy is titled Save the Clam. And I'd say for the first time they actually gave Jerome something to do without actually even giving him anything to do. The guys all play a baseball game with Jerome on the opposing team.
I'd like to dedicate my performance today to Miss Whitney Houston.
Oh, we are fucked.
When he hits the ball, Jerome catches a fucking body. Horace, the bar owner for the first 11 seasons of the show, is dead. Because nobody is around to run the bar, the city actually tries to shut it down. They almost tear that whole shit down until Jerome pops up at the end of the episode saying that he brought the bar and will take on all of that responsibility because he feels so bad for killing the homies.
Listen, it's kinda all my fault this happened in the first place. I'm responsible for Horace's death. Plus, as a former athlete, it's my responsibility to invest my earnings in a restaurant, bar, or car dealership.
What sport did you play?
Lacrosse, which is also my brother's name.
Black people have funny names. Please laugh, I'm begging you. There isn't much to say about this one in terms of characterization for Jerome. It honestly takes a place out of the Saga of Carl's book, the first Simpsons episode I talk about in my Carl video, and the one I referenced a few minutes ago, where it puts their black character in this really interesting and complex situation, but would rather follow the white characters being affected by said situation as the meat of the episode. While I understand why they did this, right, the Family Guy in Family Guy's title is Peter, so we're more likely to follow what he does. And Family Guy is a comedy first, right? So there isn't anything directly funny about the situation that Jerome is in. But I do think a more interesting episode can follow Jerome getting to the point where he feels like he needs to step up, him grappling with accidentally killing a beloved mainstay in a town that he's still pretty new to. It could have told us so much about his character and who he is, but again, I don't think that's where the priorities lie. I think him taking up the bar is a real nice, thoughtful gesture, so I guess it's implying that aspect of his character, that he's just kind of like a good guy. But he also fucked 17-year-old Meg, so I don't know, my nigga. But I bring it up because this was the show realizing that they had this character that they liked, but did absolutely nothing with, and finally giving him a permanent development that would continuously place him in the lives of our main characters. Peter, Joe, and Quagmire will always be at the Drunken Clan, and now, so will Jerome. A year later, the Cleveland show would end, and Cleveland would join the gang back at the bar.
Here's 4 seasons worth of DVDs of what we've been up to. You know, just so you back up to speed. And I'll warn you ahead of time, these have jokes in them.
Ooh, that little Cleveland show fan club over there steaming, boy. Y'all get through that, player. Go on now, go ahead. Y'all got it, I'll pray for you. But with Cleveland and his supposed replacement now consistently being in the same location, that begs the question. How do they interact? What happens when you take an actual black character and a joke black character and put them together?
You make lemonade?
Makes me laugh.
Yeah.
It is not a revival of Futurama if Leela doesn't think Fry is dead.
I know. 2 DJs, 1 microphone, we freestyle, we write at home.
Alright, so jumping ahead a little bit, but the 268th episode of Family Guy is called Run Chris Run. I have already forgotten the A story. The B story centers around Cleveland and Jerome bonding and becoming friends. The 2 black characters in cohort linking up and offering each other solidarity. I feel like when I had my stint of watching nothing but Family Guy, I somehow missed this one because it felt brand spanking new to me when I watched it a few months ago. Hey, I'm not even gonna beat around the bush. Ooh, Lord, did they fumble this goofy shit. It starts off at the bar. Jerome is nice to Cleveland because Peter, Joe, and Quagmire leave him without paying the bill. He doesn't badmouth them or anything like that. He just says it seems like they do that a lot. They then bond and share a laugh over a commercial or something, I don't know.
What do you think he is, like a Martian? Like a little shoe Martian?
I don't know. I just hope he ain't down there in my shoes.
No, he's loud. If he were down there, we'd know it. I ain't got no toenails, no how.
Just remember that this is what ignites the relationship. They start to hang out more after that, and the guys slowly start to realize that Cleveland is drifting further and further away from them. Cleveland says that him and Jerome are gonna go look at a mural of black achievements, something that he probably couldn't do with Peter, Quagmire, or Joe.
They got a manila folder taped over Dr. Cosby's face.
Oh, okay, that's how old this one is, alright. It's Joe that introduces the concept that maybe Cleveland and Jerome are only fucking with each other because they both black.
There's a simple reason Cleveland is hanging out with Jerome and not us. Jerome is black, and we're not.
Yeah, I mean, you can't blame them. It's just a thing they have in common.
Cleveland is not only offended that they think he only likes Jerome because he's black, but he also says he chills with him because he actually takes an interest in his life.
I hang out with Jerome because, unlike some people, he actually takes an interest in my life. And he would never stick me with the bill by walking out on me at the clam.
By this point in the show, they really play up how long-winded and nonsensical Cleveland can be. Long stories that go nowhere, random non sequiturs, an evolution of that slow-talking, dull nature that he had at the top of the show's run. And the show makes it clear that the guys don't really be wanting to hear all that shit. But since these two have such a great time and we see so little of it, it's implied that even though these guys don't want to hear Cleveland shit, maybe Jerome does. But then they do this goofy shit.
Peter and the fellas think that you and I only hang out together because we're both black.
Uh-huh.
But I told them that's insulting.
Why is that insulting? People like to be with their own. You boring, man. But you're black, so we cool.
That's racist. I'm offended.
Whatever. I'll see you around, Cleveland.
Cleveland and Jerome have the most nothing conversation you could possibly have about this topic. Man, do I fucking hate this shit. Jerome says it's nothing wrong with wanting to have black friends, and even though he's boring, Jerome is friends with him through solidarity. But like, okay, Cleveland is instantly offended by this and calls Jerome a racist. Alright, cool. So first of all, How is this racist? It's not like Jerome ever said, fuck them white niggas you be with, you need to be with your own kind. At the top of this episode, they deliberately leave Cleveland with the bill. It has nothing to do with them being white. It has everything to do with them being shitty friends. Racism, right, is discrimination. It's prejudice. A black person wanting a black friend isn't either of those things. I cannot believe that I have to say that out loud, bruh. And in the one interaction we see from Jerome and Cleveland's relationship, they're seen laughing and enjoying the same commercial in the exact same way. It's so obvious that Jerome and Cleveland have some kind of bond that has nothing to do with them being black. So why do they do this weird turn where Jerome at the end of the episode says that he thinks Cleveland is fucking boring? Neither one of these niggas is making sense. This isn't one of those things where I feel like it's indicative of Jerome being a joke character or borderline personality deprived. I just think it's just kind of fucking stupid. There are a lot of shows that can make a story like this work. Shit, I think if The Simpsons did something like this with like Carl and Lou, I think it could really bang. But nah, man, put this shit in the trash right next to all them shitty ass Peanuts videos, bro. I think the funniest thing about this one is that it's the second time in the show that a character calls Jerome a racist to his face. Stay tuned like fuck. Alright, here go to homie Lil Bill. He had something he wanted to say too. Black people have funny names. Please laugh, I'm begging you.
Alright, so the homie Tyreek asked me to talk about this nigga. Wait a minute, can I say nigga over here? Whatever, I'm gonna take it back like cook. Can I make a crack reference on this channel? Whatever, nigga. Anyway, let's talk about this nigga Jerome, man. I talk a lot on my channel, probably more than I should, about white people conjuring their own idea of what they think blackness actually is, and then canning it and selling it back to themselves like the Genuine article. So, like spam pretty much. Or canned crab meat. That's basically what Jerome is, and why I don't feel like he's actually a character so much as a vehicle for the writers to comment on race issues, which isn't inherently a bad thing. Like, that's kind of what Token was back in the day. But the difference is, eventually Token did get a character that wasn't just a token. Even then I could have kind of lived with it, except Family Guy is clumsier than a virgin putting on a condom for the first time when it comes to handling race, especially black and brownness. Because we are talking about Jerome, I'll just stay in that lane for right now. But remember how we were introduced to this character to begin with. Like, Jerome's entire reason for existing in the context of the show is as a plot device for Peter and Lois's relationship, nothing more. More specifically, he's there to act as a visualization of Peter's sexual insecurity in regards to Lois's past, which, I mean, when you consider that the resolution to one of the first episodes was Lois running through Gene Simmons and the winks and nods they always gave to her past conquest, it's kind of wild that the black guy is the only past lover of Lois that Peter is kind of pressed about.
Yeah, my wife here did kiss. Get out of here.
Hand to God.
Whoa, Peter, how does that make you feel?
I feel like I've done kiss too, Danny, and it feels good. You're not really gonna hang out with him, Lois, are you?
We're just friends, Peter. Don't tell me you're jealous.
What, you dating that guy? It's just a lot to take in.
Now, I could sit here and talk about the historical psychology behind cishet white men's apparent obsession with black male sexuality, but this ain't that channel, so I'll just say there's a reason why black.com is a thing, and that there's a nigga named Mandingo who makes a living slinging pipe on camera. The thing that makes this plot line so dissatisfying is Peter never actually reconciles with his internalized rape implicit bias. He just learns to live with the fact that his wife had a taste of the chocolate at one point, which, I mean, really ain't his business to care about to begin with, but the point is the fact that the dude is black that bothers him so much in the first place, and that's never really rectified in the show. On the other hand, you got entire plot lines in the show where Jerome gets called on the carpet for his alleged reverse internalized dislike of others based on arbitrary physical traits. Jerome prefers hanging out with Cleveland because Cleveland is black. And yeah, if you don't know black people like that, that does kind of look like the clan hood being on the other head or whatever. But the thing about black folks is us living in a society that's literally built the shaft, swindle, Shanghai, and worse yet, send us up yonder based on nothing but our blackness, conditions us to kind of stick together even if based on nothing but that blackness. At the end of the day, even if we have nothing else in common but the shared experience of being black in a world that loves to consume our culture but hates to acknowledge our humanity, we don't have a choice but to seek out fellow Afros and keep the white folks at arm's length until they prove themselves worthy of our trust. And Family Guy, in its attempts to say something profound about race, kinda misses the point completely when using the character, or better yet, a caricature based on the very one-dimensional depiction of black masculinity that kind of makes us keep a healthy distance from the milk maidens and pale riders to begin with, you know what I mean? What I'm saying is, it's hard for me to believe that there were any black folks in the room when Jerome's episodes were being written, or if they were, they probably haven't gotten a lineup since like last Christmas, and they probably let their friends sing the hook to I Don't Like with impunity. All right, I'm done.
Did he just ask if he could say nigga? Fam, I invented saying nigga on YouTube. This is why I gotta stop getting motherfuckers up here who obviously don't watch this shit. And who the fuck is Tyreek?
You know, Chris, Usher categorizes his girls into two groups. Bitches he's with and bitches he's gonna get with. So is this one you got or one you gonna get?
How did they do that, son? My nigga Keke Palmer is in this episode. Okay, so I'm gonna use this back half to talk about Jerome's life outside of the main characters and exactly what we know about it, because it's not a lot, but there's something. The 228th episode of Family Guy is titled Baby Got Black. Oh my god. And it introduces Jerome's daughter Pam, voiced by Keke Palmer, who falls in love with Chris.
But Dad, Chris treats me really well. He gave me this diamond necklace.
That's my diamond necklace.
Cool it, I'm trying to get laid.
Before we get into like the actual meat of the episode, it's worth noting that this episode is the very first time we get to see a peek inside of Jerome's life outside of Peter, Jerome, and Quagmire. Because of that, let's go through everything else we know. In season 12's premiere, Finders Keepers, part of a 3-part joke with characters watching the news, Jerome calls out to a woman that might be his girlfriend or something.
Treasure?
Yeah, baby?
Bring me a grape wine.
Black people have funny names, please laugh, I'm begging you. In season 16's Follow the Money, a really good one by the way, Jerome tells a really dark story about marrying his high school sweetheart who dies, and their daughter dies shortly after. Maybe all of this happened before Pam?
We buried her next to her mom 6 weeks later. You never seen a casket so small.
I hear you. I gave me number to a girl and she threw it away. You and me, fraternity of pain, eh?
In season 19's Meg Goes to College, when comforting Peter, he says this.
I helped my daughter through college and it was the best thing I ever did. Right after she graduated, she got a real good job and bought me a new car. Says she's gonna buy me a house one day so I can sell this place and retire.
No idea if this is supposed to be Pam either, but also he says that she's graduating and brought him a car, so it couldn't be. Chris is 14, and in the episode she tells him this.
I thought you gave a great book report at school today.
Which to me says that they're in class together. In season 20's All About Alana, starring Jade from Victorious.
What was that about? Why are you so mad at cats?
He's seen seated at the episode's wedding next to Donna and an unnamed black woman, but without Cleveland, their kids, or his daughter. And in the wide shot, Donna isn't even there. See what happens when you do nothing with your black characters? I gotta look in the background and shit. So the episode follows Chris and Pam, who want to start dating, but they can't because Jerome doesn't want his daughter dating a white boy. Jerome, you're a racist. Shit, Peter part black, remember? Why you just ain't say that?
We used to date before I met Peter. So what are white women to black men?
A very pleasant page in our memory books.
Aw.
This is what y'all telling yourselves at night, huh? Alright.
We gave you Eminem and Justin Bieber too. even though they dress and try to talk like you.
This episode has the Thank the White song, which I always thought was really funny and catchy, but fuck, the comment section on the upload of this shit is not cash money, bro. Not to give these kind of people any more attention than they deserve. I promise I'm gonna be real quick here, but I am so sick of this phenomena of taking satirical adult cartoons out of context to make ridiculous nothing points.
Oh my god, thank the whites? Wow, I can't believe they got away with this.
Family Guy said white people invented soccer moms, mayonnaise, Breaking Bad, and Friends, and you can't believe they got away with it? Okay. Hey, and one of those ain't even true.
You know you don't thank the Lord, you thank the whites.
You know what? That song only made me hate white people even more.
What about 8 more verses?
All right, now if you didn't get the joke in the intro, you know the vibes now. They do as good a job as I feel like a show like Family Guy could do when telling this kind of story, I guess. It's clear that Jerome's protection of his daughter is significantly less about Peter and Chris's people and more about what he has to deal as a black man on a daily basis. Not saying that his methods of separation are the way to go. In a lot of ways, it's extremely reductive, but I do think they do a decently okay job explaining this emotion. It really comes out when Peter's with Jerome after he gets pulled over by the boys for literally no reason.
Police pull me over for major violations all the time. I've never broken the law in my life, Peter. I'm a 42-year-old man. I own a business, I pay my taxes, and yet I gotta deal with this crap every time I step outside my house. Makes me so damn angry, I don't know what to do with myself.
So you couple the resentment that Jerome feels every single day, basically for just existing, with how common it is for white men to fetishize black women, and it makes Jerome's emotions understandable, at least as a black person.
White guys don't want a relationship with black women. They just want a notch on their belt. You're a novelty to these people.
I'm sure I'm gonna get a million comments arguing against this. Have at it. I ain't reading them shits. And if you're questioning how Jerome could even think this way or have these kind of thoughts about Peter, someone who has been nothing but a friend to him. He set this nigga's house on fire and walked out on him in a Klan fit. His homeboy called him a good Negro. When he met his son, he asked if they were being robbed. I ain't even play this clip earlier.
Yeah, look at you owning a bar. You guys are doing pretty good. First you get to run Somalia, now this.
Jerome has every right to be weary of him in this sick-ass, backwards-ass, microaggressive-ass town. Shit, Peter lucky he ain't me. I'd have smacked the balls off that nigga chin.
Forgive me for being a protective father, but white people have exploited and mistreated blacks for centuries, and I'm not gonna let that happen to Pam.
Wow, we've driven 55 miles with the gas light on.
Peter sees what Jerome has to go through and immediately goes to the extreme that Jerome has been on the entire episode.
Jerome is right. White is white, black is black. Gotta keep the races completely separate.
That wasn't exactly my point.
Chris, from now on, I don't want you talking to any black people.
How the hell am I supposed to get through airport security?
After seeing this mindset reflected back to him in Peter is where Jerome has a change of heart.
Just because I've experienced some hard times doesn't mean this generation can't teach us a thing or two. All right, if these kids want a date, then I guess that's okay with me.
So like, you see what I mean? This isn't the greatest or most nuanced way to tell this kind of story, but if you told me before I saw this that Family Guy was gonna do a story like this is on the better end of what I believe the outcome would be.
Look, why don't you and Pam come over tomorrow night, and you'll see that white people are even better than black people.
Peter.
You know what I mean. They're equal. Separate, but equal.
Peter?
It looks like this is the last one.
And lastly, the 304th episode of Family Guy is titled The Wolf of Wall Street, with the title based on one of my favorite movies ever. The B story is another one of those stories that kind of starts off really interesting on Jerome and it just kind of leads to a bunch of Peter, Joe, and Quagmire shit. And Cleveland's here this time, all right.
Jerome, what are you doing? The fight's tonight.
Jerome says that his mom had a stroke and he has to go see her in Long Island. He shows everyone that he has a painting of his mom hanging in the bar, which none of us have ever seen before, but baby, if you watch Family Guy and focus on the inconsistencies, you must be new here. Or you must be me. Peter and the guys don't want to lose their bar just because another nigga's mom is sick. So they assure him that they'll take care of the clam in his absence. Everything goes fine until Peter brings a bull into the bar for some stupid Peter reason and it wrecks the whole spot. But then Jerome calls.
I have some bad news. My mama, she's dead.
Oh man, that sucks, Lois. Your friend is probably just jealous.
Peter!
Jerome says that the painting in the bar is the last thing that he has to remember her by. It's his prized possession. Only thing, the bull fucked it all up.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Fuck, dude, I love a good Jaws shot. Jerome comes back to the bar and fucks up Peter. Rightfully so, since he the one that fucked the money up to begin with. Ain't nobody telling about that dumbass bull. And yeah, I guess that's it, I don't know. This is the latest episode to put Jerome in the forefront, in case you count that stupid anthology from not too long ago where they parody Green Book. And yeah, I still feel like I barely know this man. We know Jerome's mom died, right? And we see him crying, but like, who was she? How did he feel taking care of her? I guess these things aren't really important in the grand scheme of Family Guy, but fam, you can put Greased Up Deaf Guy and Jerome both in separate rooms with no other character, and I feel like I can tell you what Greased Up Deaf Guy would say or do. That's fucked.
I can't hear!
Boy, I am late for that meeting.
Today's indie animation highlight is a little animated series called Ollie and Scoops, created by Nico Calaleo. It's about a girl named Ollie and her cat Scoops. A lighthearted show with a real throwback, cozy yet wacky feel to it. It's the closest thing to a classic Saturday morning cartoon that I've seen in years. I have been a fan of Ollie and Scoops since the pilot, I think. I've been following it for so long, it kind of just feels like a constant that's always been there. The first thing you'll probably notice is that this show is gorgeous. Nico works with a small team, but they really put together such a pretty, relentlessly expressive cartoon that knows just when to exaggerate and just when to pull back for emotion. The world that Nico has created with these characters feels so whole, so fully realized, so lived in. These characters not only really love each other, but they really do feel like they've known each other for years. My favorite though isn't even one of their homies, it's Julia. This demented play on the popular girl trope who's so stressed about being popular and perfect that she deadass just starts to go bald. I see a lot of myself in this. There's a reason I don't take this hat off. Love to the voice talent too. Everybody is great. There are some wild recognizable names in this thing.
Fucking buffalo just took a fucking shit through my fucking window!
There are 10 episodes of Ollie and Scoops. All can be found on Nico's YouTube channel as well as his Patreon, all with extremely friendly runtimes. The pilot is just 5 minutes, but the 10th one is a solid 13. So please, after this video, consider checking out and supporting Ollie and Scoops. These later episodes deserve a lot more love. It's just a show that gets better and better and the cast just grows larger and larger. It's the kind of show that you never really know what direction they're gonna go. You just know you want to be there when it happens.
I'm just trying to get over there. This nigga making me mad.
It's a common thread for me to come up with a video idea that I really like, but I can't just seem to sit down and actually put it together no matter how hard I try. The Chipmunk adventure took months until I felt comfortable enough putting that script together. I had a whole conclusion for the Carl video written like a year before it came out, and pretty much none of that got used in the actual video. I brought up the Leela video on my podcast Cartoons That Curse 2 years ago, before I even dreamed of writing it, and we all know how that turned out.
I lost.
All of them have their own reasons, but I sat on this idea for 2 months, this Jerome video, and I just couldn't really figure out why. But I think it's because, like I said earlier on in the video, Family Guy as a show is consistently changing. It's constantly evolving. You can do a video on who can understand Stewie, and in the middle of writing the video, 5 new niggas can understand Stewie. Who's telling what Jerome will do this season or the next? Will he progress? Will he regress? Will any of us give a shit otherwise? I don't know. I can't answer that. But what I can say is looking at what was done with Jerome can be a lesson to anyone that wants to create a certain kind of black character. You have to build the personality first, and everything will just fall into place after.
If we're friends, what's my last name?
Cool J?
Where am I from?
The south part of a large city?
Where'd I go to college?
Does it air commercials during daytime judge programs?
Peter, you only got 2 of those 3 things right.
What do we know from all of the episodes in this video? We know that Jerome fucked Lois, and Meg, I guess. Fuck. We know he has a kid, or multiple. He has a brother named Lacrosse. He has or had a girlfriend named Treasure. He runs the bar. His mom died. His high school sweetheart died. He's protective. He gets mad sometimes, I guess, and he watches The Facts of Life. And if you think that's enough for a cartoon character that was invented 14 years ago, you crazier than official titties, which is a real thing black people say, by the way. Who is Jerome? What does he value? How does he live? What does he enjoy? I can barely answer any of those. But if you ask me those exact same questions about Cleveland, I feel like I could. Sure, Cleveland obviously had more time to grow and develop, but I think the only reason he consistently got more and more time is because the writers actually know who he is. They don't know who Jerome is because he barely is anybody. His adult animation would be a lot better if we had a lot more Clevelands and a lot less Jeromes. Just make sure he's played by a black guy next time, bro.
She's sick of that song on how it's so long. Thought he worked his until I handled my biz. There I is, major pain like Damon Wayans. Low down dirty even like his brother Keenan scheming. Don't leave your girl around me, true player for real. Ask Puff Dad D, you ringing bells with bags from Chanel. Baby Benz traded in your Hyundai XL. Fully equipped CD changer with the cell. She beat me, meet me at 12.
Nigga gotta do
it. Right stroke, left stroke was the best stroke. Death stroke, tongue all down her throat. Nothing left to do but send her home to you. I'm through. Can you sing the song for me, boo?